Okay, so we're back checking out this question and answer period from Nagel's talk, which I wanted to be sure to get back to. Just got back from the skate park. Very cold out there, but we're still out here, man. So anyway, but let's see. I want to see what the questions were. Um, Kind of a long time, like 15, 20 minutes. So that's good. Maybe some good
So
questions.
your objection,
Oh wait, hold on. So that's Ned Block.
just as we
I
are.
can tell by his voice.
all right. So your objection to functionalism was that it gives a conceptual analysis in terms of input and behavioral output. And you rightly rejected that. However, there is another way to think about functionalism,
Right, it's a
which
scientific conjecture rather than a conceptual analysis.
is that our mental properties like thirst or pain are, are simply identical, not a priori, but are identical with functional roles. Now, of course, that wouldn't, that would, but that would help your view, as far as I can see, in that it would automatically make the connection to behavior necessary. But of course, then those functional roles would have to be grounded in the monistic underlying reality that you were talking about. So, so that would be kind of a two-step version of your view. So, what do you think of that?
Not, I, I think your proposed non-conceptual functionalism, so far as I understand it, is still a physicalist theory, according to which, to be in pain is to be in a state that typically occupies a certain input-output role, completely physically described. And I think that even if it's not presented as a conceptual hypothesis, isn't good enough because it leaves out the irreducibly subjective element. And it means that a zombie, in the philosophical sense, would feel pain.
The microphone goes towards your mouth.
And so that's why
Wait, the zombie does what
feel
now?
pain.
Hold on.
And it means that a zombie, in the philosophical sense, would feel pain. And so
it means that a zombie in the philosophical sense would be okay because he wants to resist that claim. But I thought that Bloch's point was that that functional role was grounded in the underlying monistic whatever you want, a placeholder thing down there. Then that could still be necessary. Oh, look, I see over here. What is this? Debate on mind-brain relations, Searle versus Eccles, 1984. Oh, hot diggity. That must be some... Eccles is a dualist, right? I wonder what that debate looks like. Anyway, okay, so back to this.
that's why I would resist that as much. That's why I would resist that as much as I would resist the conceptually reductionist functionalism.
Yeah, okay.
So you were wanting to say that we know the neutral stuff only through theoretical inference and
Sound like Andrew Lee, I think.
abduction, but I would
Say
know
that
stuff
again?
only through theoretical inference and abduction. But I would have thought that whatever the neutral stuff is, it's going to be present in our own experiences, and we can get a grasp of it through our own experiences and constrain the possibilities for what the neutral stuff could be by introspecting our own experiences. So there were some things that you said that made it seem like the neutral stuff, whatever it is kind of mysterious.
Yeah.
But I would think that
$5 duo at Burger King. Double up flavors when hunger dings. Whopper Jr. and Royal Crispy Wrap.
Yo.
one possibility would be to think of the neutral stuff as the qualities that are present in our own experience. And to think that there are also qualities present in physical stuff outside of our experience.
So this is the view that I think is called pan-qualityism. And I think Chalmers has argued for a version of it, basically suggesting that you kind of get led to there by a kind of process of trying to solve the problems of all the other theories. So the basic idea is, suppose you have the redness of red, the greenness of green, etc., the painfulness of pain. Now, those things, they're mental qualities that you can then distinguish the mental quality, you might think, from our being conscious, or that mental quality occurring consciously. So this is something I make a big deal out of in the book that I've been writing with respect to higher order theories of consciousness. Here, they're not talking about that, obviously. But there are really two ways of thinking of these mental qualities when they're unconscious. So the redness of red, when it's not a conscious experience of red, you could ask the question, is it still red in the same way as when it's conscious? Is it still red in that same sense as it appears to you, as in the what it's like sense? And if you say yes, then you might say, okay, so maybe these things are fundamental, these qualities, maybe they go all the way down to the microphysical level. And you could have those things without there being conscious. The redness of red could exist out there without anyone experiencing it. Think about like a naive realist view who thinks that the world contains these kind of properties like red. And then we come and have a phenomenally conscious experience of red, which is somehow an awareness of that relation, blah, blah. Okay, so could that be the neutral stuff that's neither mental nor physical? It seems hard to me to make sense of the idea that these kind of qualities are going to be neutral in this respect. And even the idea that they should show up in our introspective experience, I think, is that really taking the neutral monism aspect of Nagel's view seriously? I don't know. Okay, so it'll be interesting to hear Nagel's response to this question. Okay.
I was wondering what you think about this kind of picture, where it's not just through theoretical inference and abduction that we come to grasp the neutral stuff, but it's also through introspection of our own experiences, because whatever the neutral stuff is, it must be there as well.
The trouble is that I think introspection seems to show us a domain of subjective experience that is completely independent, at least metaphysically, from anything physical. It doesn't, introspection doesn't reveal that my sensations might have any necessary connection with a physical state of my brain, even if it is likely that it is causally dependent on a physical state of my brain.
It's true. It also doesn't, from introspection alone, you can't tell whether it's non-physical or not either. This is something I was trying to bring out in the discussion I had with Philip Goff a long time ago, talking about triangularity. So if Plato and Aristotle are arguing over whether a statue has a triangle in it, Plato saying triangles only exist in an ideal mathematical form, and Plato saying no, they're instantiated in physical objects. Plato saying no, this is not a real triangle, it's an approximation of one, and Aristotle saying no, this is an actual triangle. They both have the concept of being a triangle and know what a triangle is, but just by looking at that concept, you can't tell whether it's physically, its nature is physical or not. So I think it's something like that is true with a lot of these concepts. But anyway, so So what is he trying to say? That you can't tell, this neutral stuff isn't going to show up in introspection because you can't tell from introspection what the metaphysical nature of these things are. Is that basically what he's saying? And these are, whatever he's postulating, is something that's supposed to be taking, providing it or accounting for that metaphysical nature. Is that what's that happening?
I mean, these neutral properties that I'm speculating about aren't the kind of thing that introspection reveals, because this was Descartes' very persuasive thought that in introspection, I have a complete grasp of what is going on in my mind, and I can see that it can't include anything physical. And I think that is an accurate account of our ordinary
Wait a minute.
physical. See that it can't include anything physical.
Well, okay, so I think he means by, so you think just by introspection you can tell that it can't be physical? So that's some hardcore revelation. He must agree with the Goffs of the world that revelation is playing a role here, because I would have said it's neutral. You can't tell anything. It doesn't tell you any one thing any way or the other. This seems much stronger claim.
And I think that is an accurate account of our ordinary concepts, so that to discover that.
When I learned about Mind Bloom, I was curious if psychedelic therapy could actually help with those.
Cool.
There is more to the mental than what is introspectively presented. There would have to be some kind of theoretical inference. Anyway, that's why I'm not persuaded that it could be introspectively revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, raise your hand if you have a question.
I mean, the same would be true even if you were a dualist of some sort, because you say, so suppose that you thought that, well, the fundamental nature of reality was mental or something like that. Can you tell by introspection that the thing you're having is mental as opposed to something physical? Well, you can certainly tell that there's a mental aspect to it, but does that mean that you can tell that its nature has to be physical? I guess what he's saying is that you can tell that there's no physical connection between it and the behavior as per conceivability of zombies. Yeah, I don't know. Even there, I find myself resisting in some way, because can't you really conceive? Is it really possible to conceive of like your pain being my pleasure, so that what you think of as pain is what I experience when you tickle me and I eat chocolate and go, this is delicious, but really I'm experiencing pain even though I'm smiling, and that when you stab me, I really experience what you experience as pleasure, even though I'm going, I'll call the doctor, but inside it's feeling like tickling or like tasting chocolate. Can we really make sense of, so some people say they can. It gets difficult. Okay, so interesting to hear his take on these things. I think this is a good place to take a break before we finish up with the questions. It's looking like there is still a few more questions, so let's come back and do the rest of this in a smaller segment. All right.